In the Field updates on Market Journal are supported by the Nebraska Corn Board. But up first, let's get a closer look in the fields. Last week, Nebraska Extension kicked off a series of workshops called Confronting Cropping Challenges. These workshops are focused on the current and emerging cropping issues that impacted the northeastern area of the state during the 2024 growing season, as well as previewing what might be ahead for 2025. Market Journal's Bill Dodd got some great advice from an Extension educator.
The 2024 growing season came with the usual problems and a few new ones. From pests like deck stem borer to diseases like southern rust. There were a number of issues corn and soybean producers had to tend to throughout the 2024 growing season. However, now is the time to take the lessons learned from 2024 and apply them to the upcoming new year.
Some of the big take-home messages is just kind of reviewing what some of those emerging issues are for our growers. When I look back on last year, some of them that come to mind are soybean gall midge. We had some white mold, tar spot issues. We also dealt with some issues around common rust and southern rust. So especially on the eastern part of the state, I think we saw it a little bit more heavier in abundance, especially in the Colfax, Platte County areas. We noticed it probably in abundance that kind of caught us off guard. I think one of the big deals we fought with was some growers went and sprayed a little bit early, actually, so they didn't get the complete use of their fungicides that they're using for applications. So that's probably one thing we'll talk a little bit about today is when is the best time to get that application in. Timing will be a little bit dependent on, we're going to talk about, as we get close to tassel and stuff like that, that's about the time you're going to look at. So depending on what the temperatures look like, usually we talk about end of July, early August, but what those warm temperatures might look like might shift it forward or put it back a little bit, just depending when those stages are reached for the crop.
One of the biggest mistakes producers can make when it comes to treating pests and diseases is the temptation to treat those problems when it's convenient. However, timing will always be a key factor when it comes to effectively suppressing pests and diseases. Too soon or too late, and you could be increasing your input costs for no reason at all.
I think probably the two biggest one is one, probably being off the time isn't correct, so you're not getting that full impact. And this can probably be said on the entomology side too, is we're probably just spraying at a time of convenience rather when it's going to be the most impactful. So that might be the biggest thing that's going to be noted. The other thing probably is and also in convenience, we like to take mix a lot of times. There are times where that can work very well, but there are other times that might feel the problem a little bit more and during the time off and when we should be spraying. So we always talk about scouting. That's always going to be probably the priority and the best thing to do before any application to make sure those applications are being done at the appropriate time span.
When you're thinking about what you should focus on as 2025 approaches, it will be important to remember the challenges you faced in 2024. Moving forward, it would be a good idea to keep records of what pests and diseases were troublesome on your operation as future growing seasons progress, in order to stay ahead of future problems that may lie ahead.
I think some of the things I would think about is if as a grower, if you didn't keep like a history of what you saw this last year, kind of keep that in the back of your mind and be on the lookout for that next year. Things like soybean gall midge we'll probably see resurface again next year. Deck stem borer was an insect we saw quite widespread in central Nebraska and into parts of eastern Nebraska as well. Those are things we could see resurface. Some of our plant pathology issues, just keep them in mind of what you saw this last year. Of course, that will give way to type of weather conditions that are happening at the time. Are we moist and cool? Are we dry and warm? That can alter what you see, but just keeping in mind what we saw last year and be on the lookout if we see those conditions emerge next year, because they could resurface if they are.
As we look forward to planting in the spring and another growing season, it will be very important to keep a continuous eye on your fields in order to head off any potential pests or diseases to help ensure an optimal result on your operation in 2025. Reporting for Market Journal, I'm Bill Dodd.